New halacha for you, and it's for Wednesday, the 30th day of May, the 16th day of Sivan. We are in the middle of a unit here discussing how you tear the destroyed site of the temple, and we've been saying all the ins and halacha and everything, and I want to take a moment now to just discuss with you this important point, and that is, it'll sound like a speech. We seem to have this obsession with the site of the destroyed spot of the temple, and we have all these many laws about tear and what words do you say. And I don't know if any of you elsewhere out there are bothered by the question of why the emphasis so much on the destroyed site of the temple. We don't have these kinds of halachas when we see the place of a plane crash so much. We don't even have all of these powerful halachas at the site of a concentration camp where we know much sadness happened. What is it with this obsession for sad temple? And I want to set the record straight on that. There is a very strong reason that all of our religion, a giant chunk of our religion, revolves around Israel and the temple. Let's be straight about that. The temple is so important to us. It is where Jewish people. You could literally go to the site of the temple and see the Shekhinah, see the presence of God. God's life was all intertwined with ours when any Jew could walk up to the temple and see it and literally see the presence of God. When God is in our midst, we feel His presence and we are uplifted immensely. It's immeasurable how much our lives change when God is in our midst. We feel His presence. We tie ourselves to God much more closely, and He's much more involved in our lives, and all of the protection and the involvement that we feel when close to God all revolves around that presence of God in our midst. When we were sent away into exile, God said to us at that point, you'll feel like you're on your own. And you'll be thrown to diaspora, and you'll be spread all over the planet, and you'll be subject to holocausts and to wanderings and bitter exiles and everything. So the reason we have this, what would seem like an obsession with the site of the temple and tearing our clothing at the site of the temple and not necessarily at the site of a hijacking or something, is because we're saying, this is the presence of God. We've lost our closeness to God when we lost the temple. When the temple is rebuilt, may it happen speedily in our days, we're going to be much closer to God. He'll be much more closely involved in our lives. And that is the ultimate feeling, that God is with me. I am with God. I feel His protection. I see His protection. I sense His protection, and I have it. And the feeling of diaspora is just Jews wandering, Jews having pogroms, holocausts, etc. So yes, we are obsessed with having the third temple be rebuilt. It is one of the strongest things that we yearn for. Look at our Shemona Esrei. It's the main chunk of what we say every day in our Shemona Esrei. We want to come back to our original existence, where our lives, we felt firmly and clearly that our lives revolved around God, instead of this feeling that we have in our Western worlds now that I'm okay, I live in a beautiful house, I have a nice shul, my rabbi's a good guy, but we're not living with the presence of God. We're not feeling the presence of God. And frankly, He's left us in a diaspora where we're sort of more in the sense feeling like we're fending for ourselves, although He's always watching over us. But His mannerism with us when we are in Gullus is to allow holocausts to happen and pogroms to happen. And so we yearn for our real true existence, centered around God, centered around the presence of God. And that's why we make a really big deal about the temple every day in all of our prayers. And we tear our clothing when we see the